Hello, everyone. This is Sergeant Gonzalo Duran, once again from Devil Dog USA. I'm the CEO, and I'm asking you for your help. 99% of all our programs and events is free to the community. We do this by having sponsorship that's at a sliding scale, and we ask for small donations from the community. So how can you help us? Well, one, you can go to our website, www.devildogusai.org. Look at the articles, look at the events that we do, look at the pictures, and if you have it in your heart, go on our donation page and help us out. If you want, go to one of our events, see how the community helps us, see how we give ourselves and we support and we bring the community in one place to support the military, the veterans, and the community itself, and drop off a little cash to our donation boxes. And until I see you guys, as always, God bless America.
Hey, what's up, man? It's your girl, Vero G, right now, and tune into our Vero G Spotlight TV radio podcast. Available at Apple Music, iTunes, all the places you could think of, they're all available at those places. So go check it out. We have a lot of great interviews from various artists to mainstream artists and all that said and done. You can definitely check us out. You can find me on my Instagram at officialverog, and check out the website at WhosNextNYC.com. And also, if you want to submit your music or, be a guest on our show, you could go to the email at WhosNextNYC@gmail.com. Also, the website where you could also submit if you'd like to play your music on our show and also be on our show for an interview. So definitely go check it out. Again, for the Vero G Spotlight TV radio show also, and support this amazing platform. Thank you so much. Take care.
The following is not sponsored or endorsed by Gonzalo Duran. New Yorkers sure have been through a lot over the past few years, but through crisis comes hope, leadership, and heroes. Today we honor those heroes who were there for us when we needed them the most. One such hero is a decorated veteran who tirelessly fights for his country, city, and community. Sergeant Gonzalo Duran. A Marine's commitment never ends. Let's elect someone who will defend and honor all New Yorkers and put America first. Today begins New York's comeback story. Let's elect someone that will bring true leadership, who has served his country, city, and community for over 20 years. And that person is Gonzalo Duran. Let's elect him to Congress, New York District 15 in 2024. For more information about Gonzalo Duran and his campaign, please visit his website at www.gonzaloduran.nyc. That's www.gonzaloduran.nyc. This ad is brought to you by Friends to Elect Gonzalo Duran for U.S. Congress, and are not sponsored or endorsed by Gonzalo Duran or his committee.
Hello, everyone. This is Vet Talk, and I'm your host, Sergeant Gonzalo Duran. Today's honored guest is Michael Vasquez from No Soundbites Allowed. Michael, thank you for being here today.
Oh, I'm happy to be here, and thank you for inviting me. It's always great to have conversations with my fellow Marines.
Yes, there we go. Michael, you're a veteran. Please tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, there's a lot to it. I'm a little bit older than what some people might think. I'm actually 56 now.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
It's when I keep the hair low so you don't see all the gray. But so I'm old school in the Marine Corps. And my dad was a Marine before me, served in Vietnam, came out with 100% disability. He suffered from Agent Orange and PTSD. Something that's very common with a lot of people back in that time. And even now, with a lot of our guys coming back home from overseas. So I have a soft spot in my heart for that. I understand what it is to grow up with that in the family. I'm a kid from the Bronx, grew up, middle class poor, actually just poor, and went to Evander Childs High School in the Bronx. People may not be familiar with it. Doesn't exist anymore. Crazy. But went there, went to school at Rutgers University, and joined the Marines. And it was great, working with communications, 29 Palms. The Stumps sucks. And I'm sure everybody who's been at the Stumps knows it sucks. And from there, after I got out, I actually went over to Moscow. I've lived in Moscow, Tbilisi, Riga. I do speak немного по-русски сейчас, очень плохо. And anyone who knows Russian knows, yeah, I speak bad. Although I have a Moscow accent, believe it or not, and I learned that all by ear. Came back to the U.S. I'm condensing like a couple decades here. Came back to the U.S., went over to California, tried to open up a movie studio, got one wire transfer away from being able to own Valencia Studios. Yeah.
Wow.
Did a bit. Went through the Northridge earthquake, broke my leg in a couple of places, got a rod and pins in there now. Came back to New York with family, became a stockbroker, did that for about, 9 years, I think it was. Never had a lawsuit, never had a complaint, which was fantastic. Not a lot of brokers could say that. That brings me to about 2000. Saw the market crash. We had the Twin Towers. I was working in the Chrysler building that day, and I was terrified. Lost a few people in the Twin Towers, traders that I knew. And from there, saw the market going negative, saw the regulation coming in. It was becoming more litigious and not as lucrative. So I said, okay, I'm going to go off and work with a buddy of mine, start a investor relations company, trying to get, this is about 2001, 2002, and trying to get into that realm because everyone's starting to get into the digital wave. That was when everyone started saying, what are weblogs? These blogs. Yeah, started doing that and developed about 150 of them with my partner, trying different avenues as well as doing the investor relations, which then led to me doing No Soundbites Allowed. A couple of different forms early on, but I found my niche, which is talking about politics from a conservative Republican point of view, which a lot of people look at me and they go, "Oh my God, you're evil here. You know you're black, right? You know you're a black Hispanic, right?" And like every day when I look in the mirror, yeah, I got that. But my politics naturally flowed to that, and that's partially from being raised in my family, partially because of the experiences, both here in the United States on both coasts and a couple of other places I lived, as well as living overseas and living in Moscow and actually seeing communism and socialism up front in person. I was there in '91 during the coup. When the RFK tried to get in, took Yeltsin, put him into, it was actually Gorbachev. They had Gorbachev at a dacha, a little house, and they held him down. They were trying to get Yeltsin to lock him up. We had tanks rolling down the main street, Kutuzovsky, and everyone, every American, every foreigner I knew were trying to figure out, okay, how do we get to an embassy, which flight to get out of the country? It was a crazy time. So, yeah, I am very conservative Republican.
Yeah, I can understand your point of view. Now, for the veterans and the individuals watching, this is a prime example of what the military, I assume, can give you some abilities to educate you and give you that well-roundedness to put you in those type of positions and those and to be so lively as well.
Well, I love it. Now, I started off, my dad, Marine, structured, and he had his problems with the PTSD, and that wound up being one of the things that killed him. Agent Orange killed him.
My condolences.
And that was in 2001. But he also had a crazy kind of life before. He volunteered for Vietnam. And I was just born when he went. And that's because he loved America. Puerto Rican from mainland Puerto Rico, and he came over, met my mom, and when the war started up, he volunteered, said, no, I love this country. It gives him so many opportunities. And in my experience, in my life, I have seen, the racism of the 70s. People talk, oh, America's so racist. Today, I'm old enough I remember what racism was. And in my generation, we went from there'll never be a black president, maybe in my grandkids' generation, to being alive during Obama. Horrible president, but a president broke that glass ceiling, said, yeah, we can. You can't see that kind of transition in any other country. No other country has as much diversity and wealth of people and opportunity as America. Everything that's in the world is here in America, and a lot of it is in New York, of course, but no other country can say that and do it peacefully. And that's really amazing. So that's a wonderful benefit. Now, I bring that up because in my family, we knew people from, in the apartment building my family has lived in for the last 50 years. We had people from Eastern Europe that came to America because they were trying to escape World War II and the Nazis. We had people, a German family, who actually had the American Foreign Legion. Just because my mom was trying to raise me and my brothers and sisters, said, okay, you want to go to camp this year? Go to the American Legion camp.
Oh, wow.
It's like, oh, wow, sure. And my mom said yes, and it was great. Went there a couple of times just because he was there and he said, you know what, you're a young kid, you're a young man, you could do that. A very good family friend came from Hungary, and Lester was a great inspiration to me. Also a very strong figure. He came over to get out of World War II, and he helped to teach me a lot of how to work with wood and how to do handiwork. You put all these experiences together, and then when I'm 18, and I've been wearing suits since I was in like 9th grade, so I'm a little bit odd, maybe. And I remember I was walking through the school library, and there was a Marine recruiter. He's in the library. And I was thinking about it. I said, you know what? Let me walk up to him. I walk up to him and go, and most arrogant thing I've probably ever said, what can you do for me? Because I know what I can do for you.
Arrogant as they come.
But it was great. The experience with the Marine Corps, one, it introduced me to a lot of people. At that time in my life, I hadn't gone anywhere. I was a New York kid. And I got to meet people from around the country, a couple of people who had never been in person with black people before, so that was a new experience for them. We hashed that out a couple of times and wound up to be very good friends. Learning about their differences, my differences, the fact that we didn't know about each other, and we learned, and we were unified by the Marine Corps. We were Marines. We were side by side, so we worked through our issues. Discipline, the ability to know, yes, I can do this. I can survive these crazy situations. And it came through the skills I learned in the Marine Corps in terms of personal discipline, in personal perseverance, and being calm in a hectic situation. Well, when I was in Moscow, when we had the coup, everyone's losing their minds. I said, okay, first thing, we need to establish communications. Can we make phone calls back to the United States? Well, it took pretty much the entire morning, most of an afternoon of nothing but calling to finally get a phone call that did connect. And we were able to finally get messages out to people here in the United States from there. I think it was one of the few phone calls that were actually connected internationally. It only took us like 5 hours to actually get it done, 6 hours. But that was because I was focused. I was calm. I had a mission. I had a goal. I contacted all the embassies. I contacted many of the expatriates that I knew, trying to figure out, okay, what's our plan? Do we have an exit strategy? Can we get to this embassy, that embassy? If you can't get to this one, then here's another one that's aligned with your nation. We can get to there. Make sure you have your passport. Have a go-ready bag. If I call you and I say, we're going, pick up the bag and meet me. We're not wasting time. And here's where I'm going to meet you at. And this is the path we're going to take. And here's an alternate route, just in case we're suddenly blocked. This is the other way we're going to go. It was a very interesting time. And because the Marine Corps trained me so well to think under pressure, to not just be emotional, but to create a mission, to know that you can achieve that mission, is very important. And that's happened a couple times in my life. When I was in the Northridge earthquake in California, again, slow down, think it through. Is everyone safe? Check out their neighborhood. Let's go through and see, do I need to be prepared for first aid? What supplies do we have? What supplies do we need? How can we get them? Can I organize everyone in the community and work with them to go, okay, we're going to take an hour and a half trip we were in the West Falls region, take an hour and a half trip over to Apple Valley to be able to buy meat. And okay, what are we going to buy? Hamburgers and hot dogs.
Yeah,
Simplest thing, feeds everyone, and a bunch of buns. So we can feed everyone, including the kids. Bring it back. Everyone pulls out their grills. We're grilling divide the meat to everyone, and everyone's grilling, and anyone wants to eat in the neighborhood, they can walk up to any grill and they eat the food. This way, everyone's taken care of. It's these experiences that the average person hopefully will never have to go through, but because the Marine Corps did its job in preparing me and giving me a discipline both in body and mind, that when a lot of the adversities I've gone through, I now have a different approach. That switch kind of just clicks back in, and now I'm in that mode of, okay, this is how we get through that.
Now, you're a unique person that I can speak to regarding, because it's not only a veteran in politics and, your experiences that you had going in and et cetera. Would you push towards the youth to go into the military, knowing that the current political climate that we have?
I tend to approach when people say, well, what do you think of the military? Should I go or should I not? I've had a couple of kids, younger people who've said that to me. And I answer them kind of like how I answer people who say, well, I want to know about politics. Okay, do you want my opinion or do you want me to give you the facts? There's two different aspects. They're not the same thing. My opinion's obviously going to color those facts, how I felt about it, what I thought, what I took out of it. The facts are, this is what's going to happen. You're going to go to boot camp. You're going to go over to Parris Island and they're going to bust you. They're going to break you and then they're going to rebuild you. You will not be the same person that comes out of boot camp that goes into boot camp. That's assuming you pass. It's very difficult. I'm speaking specifically, of course, about the Marines. Army, Navy, they all have similar but more easy pastimes. And of course, there's the Air Force. Cakewalk, mind you, love you guys, but it ain't the same. So there's that. These are some of the facts of what you're going to deal with. And yeah, if you're going into the Marine Corps, yeah, you're going to combat. 9 out of 10. You're going to be in a hostile, hot zone. Someone's going to be firing at you. You will probably be firing back. Can you live with that concept? Do you understand that, this is reality. It's not a movie. So those are facts. Well, experiences. I met some great people. Everywhere that I go, that I meet other Marines, these are great people. We have a commonality. And I can trust them. I truly believe that every Marine I meet, I have an inherent trust of them and their opinion that I start with. Now, actions and situations may change that, but I start with, okay, that's my safe point. That's someone I can always rely on. Why? I know what they went through. They know what I went through. No matter what other experiences we went through, we have a commonality. There's something I can talk to that person about, that I can get down to the nitty-gritty and know we can be straight, we can be direct, and 9 out of 10 times I'm absolutely sure that stuff hits the fan. I know, okay, this person at that moment, they will be able to click just like I will. We can make it through this. We can survive. that's a great experience to have throughout the rest of your life. It's a comfort. Even though it's subconscious, is in the back of your mind, that's a comfort that you have in all the different adversity you might go through. And I hope no one ever does, but you might. And so that's the answer I give them. Is, okay, and now you want to get into more details, like what happened at this base or what happened at that base, or my guys who went overseas.
Everybody's different. He's going to have a different experience and stuff like that.
Right, and then we can get into that, but that's the thing I start with and say, okay, if these things make sense to you, then yeah, you volunteer. If they don't make sense to you, why are you going to do that to yourself? You're going to be miserable.
Well, I mean, you shared your experience of joining. For me, I wish I had something more patriotic, but, I was finishing wrestling practice, and I was just walking by and saw a recruiter, and I was like, how you doing? You want to join? Sure. That's it. A simple conversation. And, they try to
loved you.
He loved me. He's trying to do the whole sales pitch, like, we'll get you money, education. I'm like, look, I'm good. I'm good. I was on the wrestling team, above average, intelligence and all this stuff. And,
Did they
golden.
get you for machine gunner or tanks?
I wish. But, for, everybody's situation is going to be different. I'm glad you had it sounds like you had a great experience. Mm-hmm. Me, I enjoyed my time. People always say, you seem not to be enthusiastic about it. I'm like, I've dedicated my whole life, adult life, for my country, and leaving the military, I've dedicated helping out the veterans in the community with Vet Talk and Double Dog USA. That's how I spent basically my time doing it. So for me, it's not a mentality of that I need to help. I'm already doing it, so it's not like I have to live that oorah life and pins and for me, it's just I'm here. I never left. In a sort of a way.
Well, I tend to notice that a lot of us who've served tend to do things, whether it's big or small, but a lot of us are involved, whether it's in politics, in school boards, in the school teams, kids teams or something. And all of that matters. It's all about, okay, we continue to serve in big and little ways. Not everybody, but even the little things that we do are examples and expressions of our love of our country and all of the rights and privileges and everything that we stood for, that we were willing to bleed, and many of us have bled for. So I'm not surprised that the work you've done with Devil Dogs, the work that you're doing in terms of politics, just in community, you're a chaplain. I mean, I can't compare. It's never a competition, but it's always something that I find is I kind of expect it to a certain extent. I'm not surprised. Let me say it that way.
You can see a Marine walking by. That guy's a Marine. Yeah, I see that.
There's an element to it, and it's not like, oh, I'm not a bodybuilder. We don't have to be, Mr. Universe all the time. I know we all felt like that when we got out of boot camp, but, no, we grow, we get older, but it's still that core is in there, and you can see it.
Yeah. So now let's circle back a little bit to your talk show,
Mm-hmm.
No Holds Bar,
No Soundbites
Allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've been doing it in different forms over the years, 18
Mm-hmm.
years now. I mean, the way you're approaching everything, politics, your life, your everything in the military, there's always something that we bring into our work and our business. How has your show been incorporated to all those things? I know it's more political.
Oh, it's very political.
Uh-huh.
I'm a political commentator. I don't like to say journalist because many journalists are caught into that corporate system where they don't get to actually express all the stories. They don't get to go into all the details. You work for the New York Times. You have a frame of reference you're going to be pushed to put out there. There's certain stories they're not going to talk about. Kind of like what we just learned about President Biden. How long has he been working only 6 hours a day? And who's in charge for the 18 hours a day he isn't capable of running the country? Oh, well, the first one is they don't want to talk about it. The second one is don't ask that question. That's why I do political commentary. But that political commentary, because I'm independent, it allows me to do a lot of things that the mainstream can't. I have conversations with first-time candidates or candidates that aren't in the two major parties, third-party candidates, whether libertarians, conservatives, progressives even. I have conversations with them so people know the choices that they have. I can talk about the issues that the mainstream doesn't want to go into. Like, okay, who's in charge for 18 hours a day? I want to have that answer. And I can focus on issues that I think are important, like maintaining. We just had someone try and assassinate President Trump, former President Trump. Well, now you look at the news media and they're trying to turn that into, when they were talking to former Secretary of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle, they try to say, well, it's about the gun. You heard over and over again from Democrats, they were saying, well, it's about the gun. Say, he had an AR-15. He had an AR-15 style firearm. That was never the problem. There are over 700 and, if I remember the last ATF, the last ATF records that I saw, which were from 2022, there are over 745,000 machine guns in America. There have only been 4 times that machine guns have been used in a crime since 1932. Oh, but AR-15s and semi-automatic rifles, they're just dangerous. No, they're not. It's the person. The person's dangerous. And whether they're using a homemade improvised IED or whether they're using a semi-automatic rifle or a handgun, they're the danger. They will find a way. There was that one guy in Waukesha who used a car. It's not the weapon, it's the person. That's the danger. And we can talk about those things. And I can talk about also, I'm a very much an advocate of homelessness. I've been homeless twice in my life. And I'm a strong advocate for people who have been homeless, and especially vets who have been homeless, to try and find ways to help them whenever I can. So that's all the things that are inside of what I'm trying to do as an independent and political commentator. It sounds like it's, well, I guess it is kind of a lot.
Well, I mean, it is a lot, and the direction that you've taken everything is different than the mainstream. We'll get that out there, but at the same time, you're giving people the voice that others won't give. I've been on your show, and somebody like me who's more of a moderate, even though I have different positions in politics. Everybody's always surprised. Well, we assumed you'd be this way or that way. If it wasn't for the fact that, like, let's say somebody like you giving me that voice out there, I wouldn't be, my work in journalism, my in media, and my work as a nonprofit leader puts me in the spotlight. When it comes to politics, though, it's dimmer, a lot dimmer.
Yeah.
I remember, in the past, it's open for the public that I've been running for office. Last year, I got no media for my politics, except for in the beginning, and
the announcement.
You
announced,
yeah. And because there's somebody's actually doing something against an incumbent, but then it dims out. But once again, because of my other stuff, I'm in the limelight. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be so well known in my community.
I know exactly how it is. In 2014, I ran for Congress. In 2020, I ran for county legislator in upstate New York, Binghamton, New York. So I have been through that experience. I know what it is to run, especially in a congressional race. It is very difficult. People don't realize how hard it is, but it's important, even if you don't per se win, just by highlighting the issues that need to be addressed. Everyone, it may not seem like it, but the incumbents, the various parties, they're paying attention to that and saying, oh, people are talking about this. They want to run for this. This is important. We need to focus a little more. We have to pass something dealing with this. We have to address this issue. Otherwise, the next time, they're coming back at us, and they'll have even more people behind them. So it's always important to be able to run, and I recognize that. It's just interesting.
Okay. Well, I mean, for the audience that may not be able to, that don't the work that you're doing, let them know how they can reach you, how they can contribute, where they can find
it goes
you.
so fast. So, if you want, you can just type in No Soundbites. That's one word with an I. Allowed. That's it. No Soundbites Allowed. I can tell you that I've been in Paris, and I know you can find me there. I've been all across America. I know you can find me with that. Even as Google and the rest of them try to suppress it, you will find me, and I've covered just about any issue that's important to you. So why not check it out?
For those interested in joining us at Vet Talk, you can email us at ceo@devildogusainc.org. And as always, God bless America.
God bless you all.